Alrighty, hey guys, FunnyGuyTimmy here for a different kind of art video. This one I wanted to do a little bit of commentary and just kind of talk about, my art, how I got into art, what I use, how I learned, and all that kind of stuff. And also kind of answer some questions that have come up on some of the other art videos. Now, I don't consider myself an artist. That's not what I do. I consider myself an artist in the performing arts, but I don't consider myself an artist in drawn art. It's not something that I ever really want to go into business as a freelance artist for. It's something that I do for myself or for my own projects. It's something that I do for marketing art, or for thumbnails, or for storyboarding, or for character design, for any of the animation stuff that I do. That's pretty much it as far as what I use my artistic skills for, what little there is. How I got into art was really my older brother. My older brother he's an artist. That's his skill set. That's where his skills lie. And he's amazing. He's much better than I am, and he is how I learned how to draw, just by watching him and then eventually developing my own crude style. And that's kind of what I'm showcasing here. This was from a live stream that I did on my Twitch channel, because I'm not quite sure what to do on the Twitch channel, but I do know that I need to do more live stream stuff. I've just been having trouble getting the Twitch to work right and working with OBS, and there's just some technical stuff that, being a full-time voice actor, sometimes I just don't have time to learn new websites and new technology and all this kind of stuff. But it is something that I'm trying to get more into. In this video, the reason I stopped right here was I think I was actually answering some questions on the keyboard. But the tablet that I'm using is an iPad Pro, the 12-inch. I think it's the second generation iPad Pro, I believe. Not positive. And then the Apple Pencil, second generation. That's what I normally draw with. And the app that I prefer to work with, is SketchBook. I just like the way it functions. I like the smoothing tools. I like the layout. I know a lot of people are telling me to use Procreate. I'm watching lots of videos on Procreate, and it seems like a way more robust and fuller art program. But again, since I don't consider myself a full artist, and most of the stuff that I do is just for me or for my projects, like thumbnails and stuff like that, I don't care to, dig too deep into different programs. But basically my format, the way I get started is, first I find all the reference art that I'm going to be using, and then I, gather a good library, the best images that I can find. This was for the Let's Play channel. Like most of the art that I do that have that little avatar character of mine, little thumbnail character of mine, a lot of this is for the Let's Play channel, which ended up being a kind of a terrible idea because it was a little too big and daunting of a task for me alone to take on, especially someone who's not as skilled as an artist. Because I wanted the Let's Play channel to have unique and fun thumbnails, but at the time there was supposedly going to be me and maybe two other people doing thumbnails, and it ended up just being me. And so the entire channel ended up just being all my art, and being the fact that I'm a full-time voice actor and most of my time is taken up with that, it was incredibly, incredibly daunting of a task. So I don't draw that many thumbnails. I've been trying to reuse them a lot, but when I do, I try to have fun doing it. My process is basically develop a good bit over the years. Actually, in the past 2 years, it's probably changed a lot. Most of the stuff that I learn is through my older brother, who is an amazing artist. And I, ask him a lot of questions. He gives me feedback. He knows the terms and knows what to search, to find resources for me. because I don't even know where to begin. And it would take me, days just searching terms and running through ideas and all this kind of stuff. But first, what I always do is I always sketch very roughly in blue. It's always the color that I use for really, really rough sketching. And that's where I make most of my mistakes. Like 90% of the mistakes are going to be in the blue pencil. And it's just a nice, rougher color, and it's not as, doesn't pop as much, so it's not as distracting when I'm going back over it in red. So, after I'm done sketching it up and roughly sketching it up in blue, and a lot of times, like you saw me cutting stuff out and moving it around to where it needed to be. Then I'll go over in a second layer and I will redraw over it in red. And, red and blue are, kind of opposite colors. Not really opposite, but, they're very different. So I can easily see the red over the blue and the blue underneath the red. So it's easy to work that way. I saw someone do something like this. I don't remember it being my brother, but it might have been. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll do that. And then after I'm done with the red and I've fine-tuned all the details, like you can see me doing a lot more of the wrinkle, like the wrinkling in the clothes, and, a little bit more fine detail. These characters that I draw are incredibly simplistic, so I don't draw a lot of detail, but I do a lot of corrections and a lot of, change up and a lot of fixing and stuff like that in red. And then over that, then I'll ink. So I'll ink over the red. After, as you see, after I'm done with the blue, or after I'm done with the red, I just get rid of the blue because I don't need that anymore. And this was for the Let's Play of Dark Deception, I believe that's what it's called, Dark Deception. And so, I was like, I wanted something fun, so I was gonna do a little bit more of a dramatic pose, and it was like, it was me running away from one of those evil knife monkeys, as you can see in the top right corner of this layout. And so yeah, I just thought it'd be a little bit fun. People seem to like it. I actually post a lot of my art, the ones that I'm at least proud of, on DeviantArt, I think. So I should have a DeviantArt page. It's all FunnyGuyTimmy. Basically, if you look FunnyGuyTimmy, on any popular platform, Twitter, Facebook, DeviantArt, YouTube, whatever, FunnyGuyTimmy, you're gonna find my stuff. So, that's where I post a lot of my art on there. Just, again, trying to get more feedback and possibly criticism from other artists. I have no problem with, taking criticism in my art, especially because I don't think it's all that good. So when, someone says, oh, this is terrible, you need to work on this, it doesn't hurt my feelings, because I'm like, yeah, I know. I just don't know where to start. I'm trying to get more into animation, though. That is one thing that I am trying to do, because I find myself needing animators, but I don't have the money to hire animators. And the people that I do know who would be willing to draw or do art or animation for free, just for the love and the passion of the project, don't have the time, to really pull something like that off. So, over the years, I learned more and more that I need to just, do it myself. And it's sad, going down that path and realizing that pretty much I'm the only one that I can really truly depend on, for a lot of this kind of stuff. But, it's at least good to know, all right, well, if I can't do this and I can't, depend on anyone to do this, then I'll just wait to get something like this done. And it doesn't really hurt my feelings knowing that, most of the people that, I've tried working with on stuff like this are just unavailable or don't have the time or, whatever. It doesn't hurt my feelings. That's their life. I don't want to impose. That's it. As far as my inking method, if you look in the right, you'll see that I have multiple layers as I ink. So what I'll basically do is I'll start inking the next section of lines on one layer, and then I'll start inking the next section of lines on another layer so that I can do this. So I can erase what I don't need. So they can overlap, and then I can erase, and then when I'm comfortable with what I've drawn, what I've inked, then I will merge the layers and then draw another one. Draw another layer. Again, I don't remember who it was that I saw do this method of inking, but before I used to be doing a lot more, all control delete, erasing, stopping, starting, and it was taking up so much time. So when I saw someone do this method of inking, of, doing each, layer at a time and then merging them as, you get, like, all right, well, that's good. That's acceptable. It saved a lot of time and it saved a lot of headaches, and it was just easier. And so, again, I wish I knew who it was that I saw do this. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. I've been in the voiceover studio all day today. Well, not all day today. I took a nap because I was up all night the night before, up till like 7 in the morning, doing voiceover. And so today I took a little bit of a nap, like a 2-hour nap. And so, excuse me, so sorry. And so I wasn't, in the studio the entire day, but I did a lot of voiceover today. Probably about, what is it, like, I want to say it was like 5,000 words that I recorded today, which is very, very difficult for me. For some people, it's nothing. People that do audiobooks, this is nothing to them, nothing for them, because, they're used to doing that much, all the time. But for me and my dyslexia, it's quite a bit. So my throat's a little dry. I also did some yelling as like one of the last projects of the day. But anyway, again, I started doing drawing, watching my older brother, who, like I said, is an amazing artist. And I really wish that he would pursue art a little bit more professionally, because as good as my art is, and I don't think it's all that good, his is probably 1,000 times better. It's like 1,000 times better. I've done it enough that, you might be able to ask me to draw something for you, and I might be able to pull it off. But if you saw his art and my art side by side, you wouldn't even make eye contact with me. Like, you'd be like, who the heck? Who's this Herb? Who's this schlub? Trying to pass himself as an artist, the loser. And I'd be fine with that. Like, I'd be like, oh, okay. But yeah, he got into art, when he was like 6. And I was like 4 at the time. Yeah, he and I are like a year and a half apart, probably like a year and a half apart. And so he started drawing, actually I think he started drawing before 6, but, at the age of 4, seeing him at the age of 6 drawing, then I got into it. Obviously, at the age of 6 for me, I went off into, theater. I got into acting. And he kept drawing. So, I took a break from drawing and he kept drawing. So clearly he just kept going. Like, the idea is, you have to, dedicate 1,000 hours or 10,000 hours, something like that, to get good at it. And maybe I've spent enough time, I don't know, to qualify. Is there qualifications? I don't know if there's qualifications. But he has definitely put in probably more than 100, 200,000 hours into art, at least, maybe more. I have no idea. I've never clocked him. I've never clocked him at this. I'm wanting to do some art challenges with him. I want to do more art-related stuff with him, like just random art challenges. So I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be entertaining. Obviously, our styles would be very different and are very different, but it would just be nice to, try to get him on this channel to try to do some art, and, that'd be fun. I'm trying to think of what else to talk about. I mean, I've pretty much covered everything. History, what I use. I use Sketchbook, draw in Sketchbook. I even color in Sketchbook. I do a little bit in like the final details, adding these drawn elements to the background and the wording and the lettering. That is in Gimp. I use Gimp. I don't use Photoshop. I used to use Photoshop, but I don't use Photoshop all that much anymore. But there we go. Get rid of that line. But when it comes to like the final detail, then that's in Gimp, which is a free program, and I think SketchBook is too. I think it is. It's a free app, not program. Oh, no. Yeah, it is a program. You can get it for desktop. I think it's free, but I think the app version, there are some features that you have to buy, I think. I'm not positive. It's been a while. And, yeah. But, anyway, so now it would be, done with all the inking. So now I pulled my reference back up so I can get some colors for it. And this is the reference art that I use all the time. I drew that image. I think I did like 3 different versions, and then finally settled on that version of the character. I don't know how much it even looks like me, but after I drew the eyes in different, going in different directions, I tried to just make him like a little bit more serious. It just wasn't working out, so I drew him with like this incredibly derpy face, and I absolutely loved it. Again, I don't think it looks anything like me, but it's hilarious. It's very funny. Just trying to color in the face, I think. Again, this was on a Twitch, so maybe I'm answering some more questions right now. I don't remember what was going on. This was a while back. But, yeah, after I'm done with the coloring, then I go into shading, which I think shading is the thing that took me the longest to learn, I want to say. I want to say that it took me the longest to learn shading because, I don't know, because I can't visualize shading, looking at a flat image. I can't visualize where the shading and the lighting is supposed to go. A lot of the times when I end up doing shading, it's mostly guesswork. And it's only pretty much the same, kind of basic, subpar look. But yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. I just can't visualize. Like when it comes to voiceover, I can, visualize, like I can look at, something and I can imagine what the voice would sound like. I can, look at the waveform of something that I've recorded, and I already know what each, shape of the waveform is. Like I can see where the noise is. All that kind of stuff. When it comes to doing audio and doing, I can look at an environment, look at the camera, and I know exactly what, well, not exactly, but I know pretty well what the audio is going to sound like in post. I can visualize that kind of stuff. I already, have an idea of what the Foley and what the ambient is going to be. But when it comes to shading, I have no idea. I have no clue. It's mostly guesswork, and I can't wait to get to that because it's probably going to look like crap. But this is another thing that I do just to expedite stuff is I'll just, basically just grab colors from the reference image wherever there is like basically just the flattest, color on the picture where it's not shaded, and then just grab that as, the color for it. And I mean, that's it. It's just, I just use the eyedrop tool, suck the color off, drop it in the image, and then just kind of tweak it to make sure that all the colors kind of work together and pop a little bit. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know. At this point in drawing this monkey thing, I was not proud of my work. I was not. I did not think it looked any good. Normally that's the case. Normally when I'm working with stuff, or normally when I'm drawing images, I'm not proud of it. And it takes a long time before it takes basically until the entire image is complete, as in, I've finished here, I've done the shading, I've taken it into Gimp, I've tweaked it, I've, finished the thumbnail completely. It's only around then that I'm relatively okay with what I've done. It takes a while for me to. It's just because I can't visualize it all the way to the end, and so I'm just looking at it as like, oh, that could have been better. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's, a personality trait, or if that's a flaw that I need to tend to, or what. But I've always been that way. I'm that way with my stand-up, I'm that way with my acting, I'm that way with my voiceover. But I'm really, really harsh when it comes to my art. And I think part of that might actually be because I've seen what my older brother can do. That might be it. That might be like I might be comparing myself to his art a little bit too much. Which it's probably not too bad. I mean, it's not a bad thing. The blood work on that was just chaos. It was just spritz it everywhere. Who cares? Spritz it all over the place. All right, so now we're doing a little bit of highlights because there's apparently gold trim on the character that I wanted to try to accentuate to make him look a little bit more like the character, a little bit more like the thing that I was trying to reference. Just checking the reference and comparing it. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but it did look enough like the image. By the end, I couldn't find any side pictures, so I had to really guess on what it would look like from the side. All right, so now we're doing the shading, and so this is what I do. I basically do giant blobs of shading, again with the smooth tool on. I love that smooth tool, and I just kind of imagine where the lighting would be. Maybe there isn't anything wrong with the way I shade. I don't know, but I have no reference to go off of. And then I just start drawing shapes as I go along, and I don't fill them in yet. So as far as the using purple for shading, that was something that my brother told me. He said, he suggested that, and I tried it, and shit, I liked it a lot. It actually looks pretty good when using purple and yellow, kind of a very almost eggshell kind of yellow. Leaning more towards yellow than eggshell, but yeah. And then I'll just make giant shapes, and then after I'm done making all the shapes, then I'll fill them in, and then delete the extra around it. But I actually have a full box of old art, old drawings from when me and my brother were really, really young. Probably like 10, maybe younger. I don't know. That I'm wanting to do some redo art, videos. Just because it's fun. All right, now I'm just going in and filling in all of that. So now it just looks like just purple everywhere. And so now what I'll do is I will, make sure that everything is looking all good, and then I'll select the area around him, outside of him, and then delete it, and then, make it, multiply, and then bring it down to like 50 or 30% is normally it. And so now I go back and I do the shading on Zibanke, and same thing. So, but the second character, if there is multiple characters, the second character is normally easier because I've established where the lighting more or less is, and so the second character is, was like, just basically kind of more or less match that kind of angle on it for the most part. And so that's what I'm doing here. And this is probably the most tedious part, I feel, about doing any art is the shading. For me, it's probably because I haven't been doing shading for all that long. Normally I would just leave it, just flat, just because it was like, I don't want to shade it. Shading always felt like work. It was like homework. I actually finished a couple thumbnails recently, and I mean, it wasn't that taxing. It wasn't that demanding, but at the end, my back hurt. I was bored, and I was just in agony, and I was just like, if I never draw another thing, I'll be happy. I don't know why. I just felt that way at the end. It was a little weird. It was a little weird. It shouldn't have been that way, but it was. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know why I draw, but I object to drawing. I don't know why that is. It's just me. I'm just a weird guy. Gotta go back and delete all this. Boop. So there we go. So now we got the basic shading. And I could stop there. I could stop right there. That'd be fine. But I think now we're gonna do some highlights. Yeah. So now we're gonna grab that yellow, and now we're gonna do some highlights. And for this one, I think I did a whole bunch of different. I wanted to try something. Instead of drawing the shapes, I actually did kind of like a light brushing of the highlights instead. So it's more like a glow, which isn't normally what I do. Normally, basically what I'll do is the exact same thing as the purple, but on the other side, so wherever would be the most exposed to the imaginary light source. So, but this one, I was like, let's make it a little bit softer. Let's make it a little bit more, bloom and glow. I think it fit the game that I played a little bit more. So, this actually took a whole lot less time because I wasn't drawing shapes. I was just like brushing across it in, rough strokes. And it felt a little bit more natural. It didn't have to be perfect. I mean, none of it has to be perfect. I mean, technically. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I signed off on the live stream. But, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as my method of art. And then what I'll do next is I will take it into Gimp, and I will add some effects. I'll do the background, I'll do the lettering, I'll do the numbering, throw in some extra shadow just in case. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, again, I use an Apple Pencil, Generation 2, iPad Pro, Generation 3? I'm not positive. Sketchbook, and you saw my process, 2 different sketch colors, and then ink. And then you saw a little bit of my shading. If you guys have any questions, leave those down in the comment section below. I'd love to answer any of those questions. If you'd like to see any more videos like this, let me know. If you're new, subscribe. If you want to be notified, hit the bell for notifications. And until next time, peace.